What was a Nazarite to avoid? This is the question, and we seek to answer today as we continue our verse-by-verse study of the book of Numbers on Walking Through the Bible. If you have a Bible with you, you can turn to Numbers chapter 6. We're going to be reading from verses 1 to 12. If you don't have a Bible, don't worry. Just follow along with us on the screen. The version that we'll be reading from is the New King James Version. So, Numbers chapter 6, beginning at verse 1. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, When either a man or a woman consecrates an offering to take a vow of a Nazarite to separate himself to the Lord, he shall separate himself from wine and similar drink. He shall drink neither vinegar made from wine nor vinegar made from similar drink. Neither shall he drink any grape juice, nor eat fresh grapes or raisins. All the days of his separation he shall eat nothing that is produced by the grapevine, from seed to skin. All the days of the vow of his separation no razor shall come upon his head until the days are fulfilled for which he separated himself to the Lord. He shall be holy. Then he shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow. All the days that he separates himself to the Lord, he shall not go near a dead body. He shall not make himself unclean even for his father or his mother, for his brother or his sister when they die, because his separation to God is on his head. All the days of his separation he shall be holy to the Lord. And if anyone dies very suddenly beside him, and he defiles his consecrated head, then he shall shave his head on the day of his cleansing. On the 7th day he shall shave it. Then on the 8th day he shall bring 2 turtle doves or 2 young pigeons to the priest, to the door of the tabernacle of meeting. And the priest shall offer one as a sin offering, and the other as a burnt offering, and make atonement for him, because he sinned in regard to the corpse, and he shall sanctify his head that same day. He shall consecrate to the Lord the days of his separation, and bring a male lamb in its first year as a trespass offering. But the former days shall be lost, because his separation was defiled. There aren't many vows that Bible students or even non-Bible students remember, but the Nazarite vow is one of the exceptions, even if it is not entirely understood. God never commanded vows to be taken by his people. However, if someone was wanting to perform a vow, he was expected to keep it, and God would regulate the taking of vows. It is the Nazarite vow that we will be looking at over the next 2 lessons. The Nazarite vow was a vow of separation from earthly things in order to devote themselves to the Lord. Because of the 3 Nazarites that we read of in Scripture, Samson, Samuel, and John the Baptist, we might assume that Nazarite vows were only taken by men. But no, women could take these vows too. This vow was usually taken for only a period of time, perhaps months, but the 3 we read of in Scripture were actually made before birth, showing us that the length of time could be unlimited. A person under a Nazarite vow was to completely separate himself from the products of the grape. They could not drink wine or similar drink, strong drink. When wine is coupled with strong drink in Scripture, we can know that the wine being spoken of here is alcoholic wine. The reason I mention this is because wine in Scripture can simply mean grape juice, but in this case does mean alcoholic wine. Now, simply because a Nazarite couldn't drink these drinks didn't mean that Israelites were allowed to drink these alcoholic beverages socially, so as long as they didn't get drunk. For alcoholic wine could be used as a medicine according to the book of Proverbs. But a Nazarite couldn't even use wine for that purpose. But alcohol was not the only thing that they were to abstain from. They couldn't drink vinegar, sour wine, grape juice, fresh grapes or raisins, dried grapes. Nothing that was produced by the grapevine, not even the grape skins or seeds, could be consumed. To some, this would be a rather harsh restriction, for grape products are popular, but such was the terms of this vow. Along with the abstention from grapes, a man wasn't to shave his head, meaning cut his hair all the days of his vow. He shall be holy to the Lord. Women in Scripture always are seen as having long hair, so even though she couldn't cut her hair during the vow, having long hair to her wouldn't be unusual. But perhaps how long it was would. By mentioning this restriction, though, we can conclude that having long hair for a man was unusual. Today, men see nothing wrong with having long hair, rivaling the woman's length of hair. Paul will say in 1 Corinthians 11 that nature says that long hair for a man is shame to him. God wanted the sexes to be able to be differentiated by their looks, not merely their clothing. Men thus typically had shorter hair, while women had longer hair. How short was short for a man? I cannot exactly say, but short enough that he wasn't mistaken for a woman. The same could be said of a woman's hair length. The exception for a man was during this vow. Another restriction being placed on them was being in the presence of dead bodies. This would include anything that was dead, for recall from Leviticus, touching a dead body rendered oneself unclean. Even being near a dead body rendered a Nazarite unclean. That meant that he could not attend the funeral for any of his relatives should they die while he was under this vow. This would be a hardship, but shows us that God comes before family. What happened if someone suddenly died next to them? Certainly that would be fine, right? For that was an unforeseen circumstance, and we might call it an accident. There were no exceptions to this rule. The man was defiled and had broken his vow. That's how holy this vow was to the Lord. Nothing, even accidental breaking of it, was allowed. We have seen this strictness concerning the dead before in Leviticus 21 concerning the high priest, so it is not as if God hadn't given these instructions before. If anything caused the Nazarite to break his vow before it was completed, they would shave their head, wait the appropriate amount of time, and then go and offer the proper sin sacrifices and burnt offerings that the law required. See Leviticus 1, 4, and 5 for this. Since they broke their vow, they would begin the vow again, with the previous time not being counted towards its completion. We'll see what happens when the vow is completed, the Lord willing, in the next lesson. With that, our time is up for today. The Lord willing, I hope you'll join us for tomorrow's discussion of Numbers chapter 6, verses 13 to 21, as we continue our walk through the Bible, one verse at a time. Thank you for watching today's episode. We hope that you found it edifying and ask that you not only subscribe to our channel and podcast, but that you like and share this episode among your friends so that the saving gospel of Jesus Christ can go out to the whole world. Amen.